Hi guys, this is Tony here from Metal Roos. You're about to sit down and enjoy an interview I just did um, over there. And so do like and subscribe so you can get all this straight into your streaming and into your consciousness as soon as it arrives. So enjoy the interview, and I will. Over to you, Tony. Hi, Josh. Welcome to Metal Roos in Australia. And you're all the way in Reading, I hear. So
Yep.
getting
Yeah,
ready
yeah.
to come over to our lovely shores, I believe.
Yes. Very excited. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the last time I saw you here was 2013, was at Soundwave.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and you haven't been here since then. I haven't missed you or anything. Like,
SYLOSIS has, and I've been with
no,
architects maybe like 5 times or
yeah,
4 times since then.
yeah. So Lotus
So
started.
I
Yeah.
yeah, I was last there at the start of 23.
Oh yeah. So I mean, you're used to it. Then you know what how it is for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
It's not such a big culture shock from 10 years ago.
No, no. I love it. And obviously, as you know, uh, I think Australia is so close to the UK in terms of sense of humor, the people.
Indeed, it
Yeah.
is. It is. We're just brothers across the water, my friend. The only
Yeah,
difference
yeah.
is the heat and the spiders. That's
Yes,
really
yeah.
that's really it, and the snakes, of course. But
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah.
but
Yeah.
so you're coming to tour. I was talking with Johnny from Angelmaker the other day,
Yeah.
and he's very excited that you're going to be here. And I was saying to him that it's a brilliant double header, like a brilliant tour, uh, sonically. Having
Yeah.
you and them, and you're playing, was it 6 dates, 5 dates, Perth through to
Yes.
Brisbane,
Uh-huh.
which is an amazing little stretch
Yeah, yeah.
of shows. And I was said to him, and I'll say this to you, and I say this to a lot of people that start in Perth. Thank you very much from everyone, because I've got lots of friends in Perth. No one goes to Perth, okay? And so it being so far away from everywhere, see here, it's like the furthest away from everywhere. It's so good when bands go there because there's such good supporters and music lovers there. They got a good scene. They just don't get the bands from
Yeah.
overseas.
Yeah. I can't remember if we did Perth the last time with architects. I was there definitely because we
Mm.
flew out of Perth. I can't remember if there was a show there or not though.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I mean,
it's still you know the city, right? It's beautiful,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's got a really good underground scene. They're going to absolutely um, love your stuff, particularly if you've never been there before.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's going to sort of go off. I mean, off the back of your new EP, well, relatively new EP, The Path, which I thought was brilliant, by the way.
Thank you.
I thought was some of your best work. Really, I don't know how to say it. It's I mean, your musical style is very hard to pin down. Like it's heavy metal, but it's a hard one because is it metalcore? Is it thrash? Is it def? It's a difficult one to squeeze into a box, which I don't like doing anyway, right? But which makes it even harder to explain your music to someone. They have to come and listen to it, or buy the records, even better.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's not one you can just say, oh yeah, it sounds like, or it is this, or it does that, because it's so different to most of that stuff out there, I think anyway. Um, and so you can't just point in a direction and say, oh yeah, it sounds like you're wearing a Def track. Oh, it sounds like Def, or it sounds like it doesn't,
Yeah.
you know?
No, I mean, yeah, I see what you mean. I think we kind of stand kind of on our own to a degree, in that there's not many bands out there kind of doing the type of metal we play these days, just because like I guess our sound is rooted in, I don't want to say like old school stuff necessarily, but I guess it
Mm,
is to these days. Like, I think our new album had a lot more 90s influence in it. So it's kind of going back to the stuff that we would have been listening to when the band started. So if you look at like The More Things Change, Machine Head, Pantera, Great Southern Trendkill, and
yeah.
then like Ironwood by Slipknot, and then Symbolic by Death, or like even bands like Chimera and that kind of stuff back in the
Mm,
day. That's kind of I I would always just try and I think I always saw Sylosis as being like a metal band, just like following in the footsteps of the likes of Machine Head,
yeah.
Pantera, Sepultura, Lamb of God, that kind of middle lane metal, I guess.
Hmm.
Just doesn't feel like there's anyone doing that these days, really. There's not
No.
many bands doing it. And in the UK, like we've got us, Believe From Within, Malevolence, and we all sound different from each other, but we do have similar influences in that kind of just like metal,
Mm.
especially like the more 90s, early 2000s kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of obviously like deathcore, which is like had more of a resurgence again, which is cool. And you know, I like that kind of stuff as well. But for us, yeah, I mean, when we started, we were listening to a lot of death metal as well. Just, I think, coming up in the sort of new metal era as a kid,
Mm.
and then when Slipknot came out, I was like, oh, this is so heavy and intense. And then they would talk about bands like Morbid Angel, Cannibal Corpse.
Their
So I
side.
go out and buy,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I go out and
Mm.
buy those records and be like, yep. So yeah, like Domination and Blessed Are the Sick by Morbid Angel, those are
Mm.
big influences on Sylosis. But yeah, there are influences from all over the place, and we definitely had some progressive elements or progressive song structures back in the day as well.
I think you're right. You're
Yeah,
very, you got to hit the nail right on the head. Um, because metal is resurging all over the world. You know that all of a sudden it's crazy, right? For a long time we would hide under a rock, said, "Oh, we like," and no one would listen because all the charts were run by this or whatever. It was all mediocre, but people were coming out and listening to heavier music more and more now. But I think you're right. There seems to be a lot of running towards very technical, progressive stuff, which is fantastic. I love technical progressive metal, don't get me wrong. But like you said, the good balls to the wall heavy metal, the stuff that you like and enjoy to play is quite rare. It is quite refreshing. I think that's probably the term because you do go. It's so many genres. It blows your mind when you think, oh, I'm going to listen to a record today. What one is it? Oh, okay, it's this on this. All right, okay. But you put yours on and like you said, you get what it says on the record cover. Like
yeah.
it's good old fashioned 90s driven metal, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. But you're coming obviously with the big catalog. I've been listening to Edge of the Earth and Monolith and all this sort of stuff recently. You're coming with a big catalog. I mean, it must be tricky if you haven't played with a band in this country for some time, knowing what you're going to play because you've got to keep yourself happy because you've got to enjoy playing it, but
Yeah,
you've got to sort of try and fit in all the what you think is the right thing and what the fans want. It must be
yeah. I mean,
not
it's
easy.
really hard. It's hard to know because obviously we've never done our own shows in Australia. And when we did Soundwave in 2013, it was cool, but
It's a small
it's hard
set.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, it was hard to gauge like, where the band was at that point in time. And I know, like, looking at Spotify streams, that Australia is one of our biggest,
Hmm.
potentially one of our best markets for streaming. Um, but it's hard to know when people like joined on, or if that's like a more recent thing or what. But
Yeah, don't get the
either way,
information.
we definitely want to. Yeah, the set list will cover every record. Um, but I mean, we went on hiatus in the start of 2016. We didn't announce it. This was
Mm,
actually before I joined Architects. The
mm.
two weren't linked. And part of that reason was because I felt really restricted and kind of just wasn't really getting what I wanted from the live shows with Sylosis. Like, it's quite technical to play guitar, and I was
Mm.
singing and grounded to the mic. And then when I'm not singing, I've got to play a technical riff or a solo. And it wasn't like there wasn't as much kind of really fun, heavy headbanging moments,
Yeah, interaction.
and
Yeah, interaction with the crowd almost, I
yeah,
suppose.
and I feel like we weren't the most exciting live band. So since then, we put more emphasis on that in the writing of our music and playing live, and especially had just 2 months on the road just before Christmas. So we're very fresh from that still, and our live show is just better, and just the new songs just go down so much better live. They just hit harder. They're just more engaging, and we'll still play old songs, but part of some of those old songs are just like weren't really written with the live environment in mind. And
No,
not to
studio.
say they're
Yeah.
bad,
No,
yeah,
no, no.
bad or anything,
Exactly.
but they're
Yeah.
just the new stuff. So there's definitely more leaning on new stuff for sure. And as I said, we could come over and do like the set list of just our first two records, but I don't know how we don't know we won't know exactly, but what the demographic is of our fans in Australia that have been with us and want to hear all that old stuff, or people that have just kind of like jumped on as the band is starting to grow again.
Yeah, and this country. I've lived here for almost 30 years, and this country is it's so far away. Like anything, like Angelmaker from Canada, we're very kindred spirits because we're so away in the market. It's very people just grab what they can. You know, they're always looking for something new because unlike Europe or London or England or America, where you can just go out your door, walk down the road, and suddenly you'll find a band, it's not the same here. And so they're more savvy with their international acts because they're looking for different new sounds. And I gave your EP to a good friend of mine who's a fan of yours, loves your stuff. And I said, I just want you, I want these feedback. I said, tell me what you think of this EP. And he's actually thought, he said to me, and I probably agree with him, he says it's very much more melodic. He felt there's a lot more melody in it. Which, I mean, in heavy, you can be melodic in heavy, you know that. But he said it felt more structured, is I think was another word he used for me, which again comes down to the live stuff because you can with more melody, it's more freedom, I suppose. So you can be more free on stage, with the EP. Would you say it was more
Um,
melodic? I'm.
no, I'd argue the other way, and I'd also
Oh,
say
there you
that
go.
something I've seen a lot is fans being like, "Oh, the new stuff's not as melodic as it used to be because it's
Oh,
more
there you
focused on
go.
being heavy." So like stuff like on the EP, the Path
Mm,
or No Saviors or
just sort
Sour
of,
Ground.
yeah,
There's like not really any melodic stuff or singing. We used to have all these big epic melodic sections,
yeah.
and it's more the focus now is more on like the heavy stuff that's going to be more fun live. But admittedly, the last track on the EP, Disavowed, that is very melodic, and it's got a big like melodic chorus. And part of the reason that I didn't want it on the albums because I was a bit worried that fans would think it was too melodic or like deliberately trying to write like a single song. And I think
Yes.
the
Yeah.
metalhead in me is always like, oh, I don't know about this. But that song is like genuinely, it sounds kind of pretentious, but the melody for that one, it sounds lame, but it came to me in a dream, and I woke up. I was like,
No,
oh,
it's not
just
lame at all,
humming it,
man. Yeah.
hummed it, and like recorded it, and I was just like, oh, that's like a really strong chorus. But I'm more anytime we do songs that feel like too melodic or lots of singing and that, I'm always like, oh, I don't know about this because I grew up just loving, like Pantera, and they got heavier and heavier with
Heavier and
every
heavier.
record,
Absolutely. Yes.
and then like Slipknot get heavier, and then I remember before like Slipknot, before I got into the more heavy stuff, I was into Korn, and the first two records were really dark and heavy, and then they put out Follow the Leader, and I just remember the disappointment of being like, oh, this is a bit more like clean and a bit more just
Poppy.
not for
Yeah.
me. Then
Yeah.
and I always kind of bummed out when heavy bands did that, so I've always got like a little, I don't know if we should do a melodic song like this. So that's why it's just a leftover B-side track, and it's still at the
Right.
very end of the EP as well, tucked it away there just in case anyone thinks it was like a yeah. I think metalheads can always be a bit like, oh, are they trying to branch out or are they trying to go commercial? Because
It's yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Because it's funny because
but yeah,
he said that to me, and I was like, okay, because I always liked, particularly young people. He's in his late early 20s, mid 20s. I was like, yeah, what do you reckon of this? Like, you like the band? What's your take on this? And when he said melody, I think it might be the very last track that he's thinking of. All I just thought was, that's really nice, man. He's seeing something different that I wasn't seeing. But hey, it's music is all subjective, isn't it? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, if there's melody in different ways, I guess. Um, admittedly, like if I look at the track "Soured Ground," the second track on the EP, there's a
mm,
chorus in that one that um, melodically is more comes from a more like I grew up in the new metal era, that kind of like dark, kind of
yeah,
spooky, kind of haunting melody stuff, and
yeah,
there was a bit more of that coming in, less of a like our earlier records had a lot of really melodic, like early like Master of Puppets era Metallica
Mm.
melody, where it's like meant to be like epic and majestic, whereas the melody that we've put in some of those songs on the new stuff is more like new metal era melody. But I don't know. It's still,
Yeah,
I think
he loved
overall we're
that track,
still
by the
heavy, but
way.
yeah,
That was his favorite track on
cool.
the EP, by the way. That's that one you just mentioned. He loved that track.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I mean, as I said before, such a diverse um catalogue of albums and influences that it's fun to dive into your catalogue. It really is, like jumping into conclusion of an age and all that. It's it's really just fun. I don't know what else to say because you don't get the same thing twice,
Yeah,
and that's a marvelous thing because every time you go to hear you is a refreshingly something. It's always your DNA in there. There's
yeah,
always
yeah,
there's always the DNA, but there's like your amazing guitars. There's a little bit of something different, because everyone is influenced by something, by the day they're living, by the minute they're in, and you just get that with your albums. And I think that coming live here is going to be a cracking and some good venues, man. You're playing sort of Lion Arts in Adelaide, Max Watts in Melbourne, Manning Bar in Sydney, the Triffid in Brisbane. They're great, great venues.
good to hear. I don't actually know many of these venues, or
Yeah.
maybe I'm assuming. I don't know. I've been a few times with Architects, but
Mm,
even Architects in like 2016 or 17 when I first came over with them,
mm,
I doubt we'd be playing the same venues that Architects would have been doing back then. So I have
yeah.
no idea. Maybe there's a few, but we were doing like off-date shows because we did that Groovin' in the Moo
Oh, Groove in the
festival.
Mood. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe they were smaller club shows than the band would have done on a normal headline run. I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know if I know these venues or not. I'm going in completely blind, but
You're gonna love them.
we've we haven't
They're
been there in
grimy
so
and
long.
fantastic.
That's cool, yeah. We haven't been in so long that I have no grand expectations of anything. We've got some lost time to make up for, so
Well,
just
the
happy to
audience
be
will
there.
give it. I think the audience will give it to you, mate, because if you put out the energy live as you do on your records, then they will just suck it in, man. Because the Australian audiences, I don't want to big them up, man, but they are some of the best in the world because
Yeah, yeah.
they just know how to, like the English, man. They know how to have fun, man.
Yeah, yeah,
They
definitely.
just
Yeah,
know how to go nuts and know when
exactly.
not to go nuts. You're always going to get that mixture of people looking at you going, like me, who's a guitar nerd, just watching you play guitar. And then there's others that are going to go circling around, smashing into things, having
Yeah,
fun,
yeah,
right? You're always going to get that mix, but it's just good humored fun, man.
definitely.
And I'm really pumped for you, and I hope that it smashes. It's from the 11th of February to the 16th of February, so quite a quick
Yeah,
dash in and dash out, but
yeah.
I
It's going
hope.
to be tiring. It'll be
Oh man,
grueling
it's
for
gonna
us. We're
yeah, it's gonna be knackering
flying
for
every
you.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I hope you do get time to see some of the country while you're here because it is a beautiful place. So I hope you
yeah,
do get a chance to see some of it in downtime if you get any downtime.
yeah.
But yeah, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate you chatting. I hope
No
again,
problem.
so the tour is gonna go nuts, man. It's just gonna go nuts, and I'm so keen to be in that Sydney one. So I will be there, man, because it's gonna
Yeah,
it's
all
gonna
good.
be hilarious. I think it's just gonna. I get some like you're a musician, man. You get the energy from the crowd. I get the
Yeah,
energy from the band. It's like a give and take situation, right? It's
yeah, yeah.
that, and I can't wait. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah,
So
me too.
yeah, so safe flight.
Thank you very much.
It's yeah. Good luck with the heat.
Yep, we'll see how we do.
You'll be all right. I was back in London last year and it was bloody hot, man.
Oh, yeah.
I was back
Different
there
type of
in,
heat
in
sometimes.
July, man. It was like, yeah, I was walking around in a t-shirt. I packed all this rain stuff. It didn't rain once
No,
in the
yeah.
3 weeks I was there. I was like, what's going on? I'm wearing a t-shirt in July. In July, like it's crazy. All right, but anyway,
Yeah.
keep it real, man. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for
See
coming
you in
on, man.
Sydney.
See you in
Yeah,
Sydney,
no
man. Looking
worries.
forward to it, man.
See
Bye
you
for
then.
now.
Come say hello. See you,
I
mate.
will do, man. Bye, mate.